This is Six African Trade Talks. Six African Trade Talks is a media partner of Intra-Africa Trade Fair, an initiative of Afreximbank in collaboration with the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat and the African Union. Welcome to Six African Trade Talks. Today, our guest is Mrs. Cherine Kallal. Cherine is the GB Corporation's Senior Vice President, Business Development. Cherine, welcome to Six African Trade Talks. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Chad.
Very well. It's a pleasure having you here. Cherine, tell us about GB Auto, the different areas of mobility in which you operate and what your vision is.
Today, I want to more speak about GB Corp, which is the group company housing GB Auto under it. So our slogan is the power of mobility, where we provide mobility solutions to different customers across the spectrum of automotive, non-bank financial services, techs. We even have a venture capital company, an academy to train people at GB Corp as well as external parties. So mobility solutions in every shape and form is our thing, is really in our DNA. And when we look at GB Auto itself, we've been into business since 80 years now, and we cover all areas and every scope of automotive. So whether it's passenger cars, commercial vehicles, construction equipment, motorcycles, tires, accessories, like everything. And in that, we touch base the entire value chain of automotive. So from assembly, manufacturing to distribution to after sales. When we look at our non-bank financial services, which is under the brand name GB Capital, even there, we provide financial services such as consumer finance, micro lease, real estate mortgage, insurance. So it's really a variety of services that aim to mobilize people or push people forward in their life. And we do it with a lot of joy, I must say. So we are a very customer-centric organization. For us, the customer is more than a king, I would say. And in everything we do, customer satisfaction and employer satisfaction is very important. This is our aim, is to aspiring to make mobility in all its forms accessible for everyone. This is our vision.
Impressive. Thank you very much for sharing. We operate in a network world. What is GB Auto's current geographical footprint and your key international partners?
I will start with our geo footprint. The group is based in Egypt, of course. This has been our home market. And we have also a very strong operation in Iraq. We've started operating in Kenya, East Africa. We plan further expansion in East Africa and later in West Africa. So Africa is really the heart of our focus. When it comes to international partners, we have long-term relations with global brands such as Hyundai in the passenger car area. We represent Hyundai in Egypt, Mazda, Chery, Shangan, and Haval in Egypt. We are partners, very strong partners with Volvo buses, trucks, construction equipment, also in Egypt. Bajaj motorcycles, also in Egypt and in Iraq. We represent the MG passenger car brand in Iraq. And we are also maybe over 20 years partners with Fuso in minibuses and trucks. Our brand portfolio, Chad, is so extensive. It's covering more than 23 global brands today. So even in tires, we represent global brands like Double Coin, Lasta, Yokohama, Westlake, and it keeps growing. So we are also always seeking a long-term partnership with any global brand we seek to represent. So that's for today. Next year, if you ask me, maybe you see a geo footprint a bit more extensive. So
certainly, certainly. So you're based in Egypt.
Yes,
based
but
in
we have
Egypt.
operations.
So you're located close to the Middle Eastern and European markets, but you don't have.
Yes.
But do you have a vision for growth in probably Southern Africa? You've mentioned East Africa.
We have actually an established company in Kenya. So we have presence in Kenya, and we're looking into further expansions in East Africa. So other East African markets that we have been eyeing since more than few years now. So we have already presence in Sub-Saharan Africa, and we are planning to expand this presence in the coming years, because we believe that the future is Africa. So if you look at the region, whether it's Mid or Europe, we believe that Sub-Saharan Africa is a very high potential market when it comes to mobility. So there is still big room for growth, big room for development. And we are looking forward to present our product portfolio and services in such markets.
Thank you. You know, you're touching Africa, and you've mentioned that Africa has got the greatest opportunities. What do you think is the future of mobility in Africa? Where are the opportunities exactly, and what are some of the challenges?
Main opportunities, Chad, are the low mobilization rate. So if you look, for example, at the automotive sector and the countries in Sub-Saharan Africa, you would see very low mobilization rates compared to other markets. So in Egypt, for example, the mobilization rate is around 35 to 40 cars per 1,000 inhabitants, very low if compared to GCC countries, which have a mobilization rate of 400, 500. So, and in Sub-Saharan Africa, it's even much lower. So you can see how much the markets are able to further develop. That's in terms of opportunity. Of course, also when it comes to industrialization, I think very close to our hearts, because we are the largest assembler in Egypt. Industrialization is also a key opportunity when it comes to Africa. A lot of countries are still not yet there in terms of having an assembly or manufacturing base. But I think this is also changing. Industrialization is a key opportunity. Leveraging on the free trade agreements is also a key opportunity. So we have a lot of free trade agreements either in place or still being developed. This is a key opportunity for sure, because it will support and growing the intra-African trade. Main challenges, I would say, would be the regulations in place in some of the countries, differences in terms or conditions when it comes to assembly of automotive products. So you see the terminologies are different between country and another. The regulations set in terms of clearance and so on are different. Another challenge would be also used cars importation, which is still very high in Africa and remain very pronounced. And this is somehow also paralyzing the growth of new vehicle market and the shift to industrialization. We've seen it happen in Egypt since many years, and how the ban of used vehicles has pushed the automotive sector to further growth, has pushed assembly and manufacturing operations. So this is also the second main challenge. And third challenge, I would say, is the difficulty of clients finding the right sourcing partner from the African continent. And I believe also the African Trade Fair, which is taking place in Egypt, will help in the networking efforts and connecting several companies together. So you will find a lot of companies very much developed or having high quality products, but not well connected with the client base in needs for such products across the continent. So that's, I think, also the third main challenge.
Interesting. And like they always say, challenges also present opportunities. That takes us to EVs. Is Africa ready? What are some of the challenges again? And are those being addressed when it comes to EVs?
When we talk about EVs, because we've been assessing EVs since maybe 7 years. I'm almost an EV expert when it comes to EVs, infrastructure, batteries, and the world is changing very fast in this area. But when it comes to EVs, I think it really depends on what country we're looking at. So Africa is a huge continent. As some countries are ready or somewhat, their readiness is very high, and others are still lagging behind. To reach a readiness in EVs, you need to have a developed automotive market. It cannot surpass this step. So some of the countries are ready to start pushing EVs. We've seen it in Egypt, for example. We have some electric vehicles running on the streets. And we are seeing also the regulations being changed or prepared to push more for electrified vehicles, infrastructure being developed. It all really depends on the country we're looking at. So some countries are already like taking actual steps or very sturdy steps towards electrification. When it comes to infrastructure development, when it comes to incentive schemes that are set in place for assemblers or distributors. And some countries are still lagging behind. However, as you've seen, the COP27 last year has taken place in Egypt, Africa. So it's very clear that Africa is taking climate change very seriously. It's not only about electric mobility, it's about green solutions, green hydrogen, for example, renewable products. EVs is a very broad term, I may say. There are so many other options that have to do with new energy vehicles that may even present a better opportunity than mere electric vehicles. So it's still a wait and see, but some countries are taking very strong steps in that regard. And I must say, we are also very much focused when it comes to new energy mobility and new energy solutions that can be offered to our.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing. And like you said, Africa is so huge. So it's interesting to see how this industry is going to develop. Now, let's talk about the AFTCA. What kind of impact do you believe trading under this agreement will have on your ambitions?
We believe it will have a tremendous positive impact because if this goes through in terms of execution, it will avail access to, I think, around 54 markets, something like this. And the member countries are expanding or increasing as we go. So it will really facilitate the trade and trade activities among the member countries. However, the execution mechanism, again, is the most important aspect for it to be really impactful. I believe that a lot of joint effort is being done through the member countries and associations, whether automotive associations or other automotive other associations across Africa, in order to push for this agreement to be in place. So we are very hopeful about this. Chad, you asked me a bit earlier about our vision to Africa or where we are based. Even when we are based in Egypt and Kenya only, we continue to serve African markets. So we export a lot of products to other African markets, whether it's North Africa, whether it's Cameroon. So a lot of people have seen our buses in Cameroon and Africa Cup of Nations. That was GB Auto. So it's not only, even if we are based in Egypt or our base operation is here, we still continue to serve African markets and African clients. So our aim is to make African products for Africa. That's the main goal, I think, for a lot of companies operating here.
Perfect. Thank you very much. To support our show, please leave a review and share this episode. You can also connect with us on social media using the handles in our show notes, or visit our website, scixpodcast.africa. See you next time.